Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of our Q&A on Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm your host, Derek Bentner, and I'm joined today by Chuggaaconroy to answer your questions about the game. So let's get right back to it. JP Mesquita, I believe, asks, are there timed quests like in the first Xenoblade? I don't think so.
I haven't found a single one, and I am 55 hours in, so take with that what you will.
I'm 41 hours in. Direct is keeping me from playing this game, even though I really want to. And yeah, from what I've seen, you can access everything. Now, of course, the missions that you can select change, but they'll pop up again eventually.
Yeah, like there's mutually exclusive things, like if you make a decision here, it'll make something else happen down the line. Mm-hmm. But if you choose the other option, maybe that won't happen anymore and something else will happen. That's still a thing, but I have yet to run into a quest that told me it was going to expire.
Yeah.
Or had a quest disappear on my menu. There have been quests that I accepted in the first hour of gameplay, knowing that I wouldn't be able to complete them for a while, and they're still in my quest log at 55 hours in. They have not gone away.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you have to worry about that this time, which is very nice.
Yes, very good.
So if you really wanted to, you could rush the entire game and then just okay, now I'll do everything else. Which is a weird way to play it for me, but hey, if you want to do it, go for it. Anartia M wants to know, can you show how far you can zoom in and out with the camera? Is it possible to get a point of view close to first person? Most of the trailers zoom out and give the game a different perspective with different zoom options. I haven't really looked at zoom options. It's more just adjusting the camera angle, correct?
There is actually a first person mode.
Oh, is there?
There is an outright first-person mode, so if you want to just play the battles first-person to more closely see if you're in back of the enemy or to the side of them, you can do that. If you want a more immersive experience, you can turn off the HUD and go first-person. You can zoom out the camera really far, a lot further than in the first game, and actually, when you get a Skell, it zooms out even further than that. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things you can do with zooming. It's just hold down the button and use an analog stick to zoom, so it is an analog zoom. You also can have the camera automatically swivel, or you can manually control it. I personally like manually controlling it, but that's just me.
Yeah, me too.
You can also have it overhead and things like that. There's really no way that you can't swivel the camera.
Exactly. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, it's really good.
Linko Fire wants to know, when you're in the overworld, are there any loading screens, and can you move the main character from the active party to the inactive party? I don't mean out of the party in general, but just not as the main party member. And yes to both. Actually, no to the first one, yes to the second one. Sorry.
Wow, way to let him down.
Yeah, exactly. There are no loading screens in the overworld, because as soon as you there's the initial startup, and then there's a loading screen whenever you fast travel. Otherwise, nothing.
Yeah, no. You can fly around at full speed in a Skell, and there's no loading even when you're going between areas. You can go between areas at any point you wish. You could swim to the next area, you could take the path to the next area, you could climb mountains into the next area. You will make it there if it makes sense on the map for you to be able to go there. Mm-hmm.
You could run from the southern edge of New LA all the way to the northern tip of Caldros, and basically cross the entire map and not have a single load screen, as long as you don't fast travel.
Yeah, and even then the fast travel is pretty quick. Those loading screens are not long if you have the data pack.
No, exactly. Fast travel is well worth using.
It's downright impressive, though, because they said that they wanted to make the biggest world possible on Wii U, and that they also wanted there to be no loading screens. The only load screen that you will ever encounter through normal gameplay, aside from those minor ones during fast travel, is when you go in and out of the Blade Tower.
Yeah. There's not really that much loading to be experienced, which is very nice. And, of course, you can move the main character from the active party, so you can basically control either Elma or Lynn or anybody else that you can put in your party as the main character. Now, you'll have certain missions that are restricted, and you can only have certain party members available, but you can swap them out. The funny thing is that it took us a little while to figure that out.
I think you were 30 hours in, and I was 20-something, and I think it was you told me hey, I just realized you can switch the character out, because I was only playing as the avatar because I didn't think I could change it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can switch them. It's just as simple as doing it in the party menu.
Yeah, just go to the party members and just swap them to whoever you want to play as to the top slot.
You do have to have the main character in the party at all times, and the reason for that is because there's the affinity that the party affinity is with the main character.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just because there's so many combinations that it would be mind-boggling to have to get them all friendly with each other. So instead, it's just centralized around the main character, is just who is friendly with the main character.
Yep, exactly. Charles D. Jones wants to know, can you do just the main story without doing side quests, or are they tied into each other? Kind of. If you want to do the bare minimum for the main story, there's certain things you have to do in order to access the next story chapter. This can range from completing a certain affinity quest to having a certain exploration rating for survey rating for your data probes, or
things like have 30% of this region of the world charted.
Exactly, and that's about it. But if you do the minimum of that, you can definitely get through it quickly, but you'll still have to explore and test out this other stuff. The funny thing is, I think they do that because, one, sometimes those side quests gives you information relevant to the upcoming story quest, and then also just because explore the world, see it, and expand things, because the story quests are honestly kind of short.
Yeah, they are. For what it's worth, speaking as somebody who, before this game was released, I wasn't like wanting to say this publicly, but I was personally worried about the less focus on story as it seemed on the surface. The fact that we were going to have to do certain things to unlock the next story chapter and things like that. I was really worried about that because the story was what really kept me playing in the original. I was thinking it wasn't going to be as good, but I would, I'd still be interested and I would still definitely want to play it. But speaking as somebody who was going in like that, I have been doing as much as possible between story chapters because I want to learn more about the characters. Mm-hmm. And by doing those affinity missions and side quests, you learn more about the characters.
And there are so many.
There are
so many. It's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. And it's like the side quests, some of them have voice acting and things like that as well, though. So like there's a lot more to them than there was in the original, and I think the rewards are much greater. I won't elaborate, but the rewards I think are a lot more worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, next up we have Mikaru XD13 who says, I was wondering how the skill customization is going to be regarding the main character. I know that in Xenoblade Chronicles, Shulk had the least skills, yet the most straightforward. So I was wondering if that's the case with the main character from Xenoblade Chronicles X. As we said with the classes, you can mix and match however you want. In all reality, your main character has the most skills to choose from in the entire game.
It's just a matter of what you want to make him. You could make him a tank. You could make him like a tanky healer. You could make him, I don't know, like a brawler cleric. You could do like a dual swords with like a revolver. You could have him like wielding a cannon. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I must say I enjoy that aspect. All right, next up is McExpert, who wants to know, are there more than 4 usable characters in the game? Yeah.
There are. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are certain RPGs out there that, of course, have more playable characters. Not many, though.
Yeah, it's like you have some RPGs that have like your central cast of like 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. You have others that might have more than that, where it's like 16 in Final Fantasy VI. Mm-hmm. And then there's Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, and we'll just leave it at that. We don't want to spoil too much, spoil any much about that. But yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah, you have a lot of options for characters.
Mm-hmm. Chris Byerly wants to know, you talk a lot about the scope of the game and how much there is to do. With that being said, does the game suffer from giving you so much that you lose motivation to continue on? I ran into this issue with games like Assassin's Creed 3, where I felt like there was so much I could do that the game felt aimless. I don't think I get that feeling from Xenoblade Chronicles X, because every little thing you do, from exploration to to fighting enemies, to taking on quests, it's all so connected and works together with each other, so you're always working towards a goal, and I think that helps it a lot when it comes to preventing it from being aimless.
Yeah, because in the side content, everything you do is either going to give you something that's going to make the story ahead a lot easier, it's going to teach you more about the characters, it might explore more things about the world that you didn't know, it might build like a new building in NLA or something like that. Like, there's always something that you're working towards in all of those things. And because it's all interconnected, like Derek was saying, I feel accomplished in everything I have done, even though I have done hundreds of things already.
Yeah, I don't feel like anything I do is a wasted effort. I want to get out there and talk to people, see how their lives evolve and are affected by different missions I do. Even affinity missions that I do can change how some people view certain things.
Even just the way that you answer questions and things like that when you're given like multiple options.
Yeah.
Even those can affect people's lives.
Exactly, and there's very rare that you find a game where everything you do matters, and I think Xenoblade accomplishes that. Next up is Thomas Holscher, who wants to know, do the vocals and the battle music always play? Not that I notice. I mean, they pop up on occasion, but that's usually when things are either in a dire situation or you're about to have a great victory.
Yeah, in the regular battle theme, the lyrics don't start until about 30-40 seconds in, and not many battles go on that long. So whenever the vocals pop up in the battle music, I feel like it's kind of an important thing, where it's just like, oh, like, you know, this battle's going on longer than the other ones. Yeah.
Really, I don't mind the vocals that much during battle music. When they do come on, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pumped up. Let's keep fighting.
Yeah. There's also multiple battle themes for different situations if you're worried about the same battle theme getting old because it has vocals in it.
Yeah, I think that's that too. Shining Darkness Games wants to know, is there a lot of open or barren space in the world, or is it very filled up with creatures and a ton of content? And also, what changes during each chapter of the game? Enemies that spawn, items that are available, etc. Well, to your first question about the open space, we said about how much there is to do, but it's also, unless you're swimming in the ocean, there is constantly stuff around. Like we were talking before this, just observations that we had made about how as you're running around, you can see the different monsters drinking water, eating other monsters, roaming and migrating, playing with each other, just various things that they make them feel like they're, well, real.
It's probably the most real world I have ever experienced in a video game, because not only are the monsters just so alive though, but there's just such a variety in them. Like, every area has like its level 10 guys so that you can explore at least something if you're just starting off and you decided to wander that far. But every area also has like its level 20s, its level 30s, its level 40s. There's all kinds of different levels of enemies in each area like there was in the original. But here I feel like it's a lot more varied in that no matter what level you are, there's something for you to do and explore.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Like when I had a mission that took me to Sylvanum off the bat.
Yeah.
Sylvanum, thank you. I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to swim it. Let's try it out. Can I make it there? And I was able to. And I was surprised, like, the coast had monsters that I could take on and had no trouble with. And I know Emil held off on that until he got his scale, but if you wanted to, like I did, you could just run right in there, and there's still stuff that you can handle. There's still a bunch of dangerous stuff that you could encounter as well. But again, as long as you are, keep within your range, you should be fine.
You can also get really creative though, because if you watch the monsters closely, you can learn things about them, like at these times of the day they go to sleep and are non-aggressive and things like that. So if you have an area that you don't think you can explore right now because you're too low level, you can always watch the monsters' movements and see what they do, maybe come back at another time of the day, and you will be able to do something then.
Yep, exactly. As far as your second question about what changes during each chapter, I haven't seen many yet, despite that, but the thing is, because there's so much that opens up with each, there'll be a couple more affinity missions that you can access. New LA might change in ways that I'm not going to get into, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I mean, the enemies that spawn are always the same.
Yeah, I haven't really seen like any enemies spawn differently, except when it comes to like squad missions, which we already talked about those.
Next up, we have Cowfish13, who just wants to know, what voice did you choose for your character? Go ahead, you go first.
Are we actually allowed to talk English voice cast? I don't know if
I've shown the English voice cast, so yes.
Okay, I went Yuri Lowenthal. He voiced Luke von Fabre in Tales of the Abyss, and I really liked that.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised that you didn't pick Adam Snowden?
Adam Howden.
Adam Howden, thank you.
Adam Snowden.
Yeah, I didn't remember. I know it ended with a din.
Shulk is the one who leaked the United States government documents.
That's why we don't see him in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised you didn't pick Adam Howden, since you told me you picked a male character. I'm like, is he going to go for that? I was really curious. But no,
I considered it, though, but I didn't think he fit the physical appearance of the character that I made, and I didn't want to change my appearance just so it could look like it was supposed to sound like Shulk.
Yeah. I like the idea of having strong female characters in the game, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go with a female option, and I ended up choosing, I believe, the second option, which is Terra Platt. Correct?
I think so. I've only seen the female voice cast one time. I just kind of like went into the character creator like one other time to like see like what it would give me for female voice actors. Mm-hmm. They seem like it's a really solid cast of actors. Totally. There's like 8 per gender, which is crazy, and they're all really good and completely different.
Yeah, they feel unique. They cover a lot of different character tropes and whatnot.
You can have your shy and awkward guy who got roped into being a hero. You can have your really heroic strong guys. You can have
your gruff old guy.
You can have your gruff old guy. You can have a girl who's like freaking murderous and just like psychotic. You can have characters from the first game as the voice actors, and they're pretty in character for how they were there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things you can do.
All right, next up, Crazy Maz 20 wants to know, how's the armor and outfit variety? Are there lots of unique pieces, or are many of the models reused often and simply recovered? Also, do outfits look different depending on which character wears them? I'll answer the second question first because it's the easier part. Technically, yes. The only difference is whether the male or female character wears them. The bottoms on a bikini are going to look very different between Elma and Lau. So yeah.
You're kind of making me want to go try putting that on Lau to see what that actually looks like.
It's just a set of swim trunks.
I figured as much.
Yeah, so you get regular swim trunks for Lau or any male character, and for Elma, you get the really skimpy bikini bottom. As far as armor and outfit variety, there are several classes of armor that you unlock as you get a higher level, or able to use as you get to a higher level. And they all generally like change like colors or small things like that, and they'll add in a few new pieces as well. But armor's manufacturers is how you get brand new outfit and armor variety in there. It's also just side quests. Like you'll get like more civilian type clothes by doing side quests, and by investing in armor manufacturers, that's how you get brand new like armor options and weapon options and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety in the items. The menus are really friendly. They're a little bit intimidating at first, though, because you think, like, oh god, I have so many things, how do I pick which one? It organizes by most recent and whatnot, so you can switch between them easily and, like, know what's new and what isn't. It also tags them with a little thing that says new.
Yeah.
So if you want to play dress up with your characters, the game gives you the tools to do it.
Yeah, I've never felt wanting for options.
I thought it was kind of inconvenient at first. The only like thing like with equipment and stuff like that I think is a little inconvenient is augments, though, but that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Next up is the Christian 914. It wants to know, is there lots of level grinding? No.
The Christian. No, not really. As long as you do affinity missions and stuff like that, you're really not going to have it.
Yeah. I avoid combat most of the time when I'm exploring. I mean, I'll get into fights sometimes, but there's really not much of a sense to get into combat all the time in order to grind. As long as you're doing missions, affinity missions, whatever else, like you keep earning experience. Even just exploring will give you experience.
Yeah, just from finding new land. Heck, even like not even just resolving side quests though, but just like you can level up from filling in your Collectopedia.
Yeah. So you don't have to. It doesn't feel like a grind because you can get experience from so much.
There's so many things that give experience in the game. You could avoid combat and just go pure exploring, cataloging items, and talking to people, and you'd be able to get through most of it.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Hugh91. How long would it take to just do the main campaign? I love the idea of the game and the world, but as an adult with a full-time job, I just don't have 200 hours to sink into one game. Just wondering if I can get an enjoyable, smaller experience. I think you can. And I think it'll still take a while because I got a piece of information from Nintendo. It takes that it'll take 40 hours to get to the 10th chapter. I don't know how far into the game that actually is, but if you do the bare minimum, you can spend 40 hours to get to that point in the game. And it's still pretty sizable, but you'll still get a real good taste of the game as well. I think it's also a good game for just playing in small chunks and being able to still accomplish something.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like you could turn it on every day and have things to do and just kind of make a little bit of progress. You could, in theory, play it like an Animal Crossing game where you just kind of go in to like work a little bit on the town and things like that each day, and make a little bit of progress that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely ways to it may take a while to actually beat the game, but you'll still be able to make progress and feel like you're doing something.
The point is, you're going to get your money's worth of $60.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, totally. All right, next up is Master of Hamsters, who wants to know, are there any callbacks to the original game via the character dialogue or history of the world?
Quite a lot. I wouldn't really say that, like, it's not a sequel. It's very much its own story. Think kind of like how Final Fantasy is like that, where it has callbacks, but it's, each one is very much its own story, unless you're talking about, like, 10 and 10-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
There's things like, in the trailers, you can see, like, on Tatsu's backpack, he has, like, Ricky's biters from the first game, just, like, in his backpack.
Yeah, and then you have the actual Monado as part of Lynn's hair clips, stuff like that.
Yeah, little callbacks like that. For what it's worth, I have hit high tension in battles, and with the particular voice actor that I chose, he said, "All right, I'm really feeling it now."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. Next up is Nader8T4, who wants to know, has the combat been vastly improved from the original? That's a better question for you, Emil.
Yeah, I think it's different. It's much more action-packed. There's a lot more that you can do in battle. There's things like, there's a lot of new mechanics. I don't know if I really want to elaborate on this because of spoilers, because they are still introducing new mechanics like all the time. But there's a lot more things than just skells in this game. The battles do play a lot differently. They're a lot faster, I feel. I'm trying to think, I guess the only thing that I would say that, I don't know, I really can't say that I feel like it's not an improvement in any way. Like, there's everything that they changed, I think, was a logical step and was for the better.
Yeah. I've just been enjoying it. Like, it seems like an improvement, but it's also really accessible for people who don't have as much experience with Xenoblade like me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta praise him for that. All right, next up is Ace Ben, who wants to know, are all continents accessible from the start, or do you reach them through the story? Completely accessible. If you want to, as soon as the game sets you free, if you want to hike all the way to some other place, you can. Now, you might not be able to get everywhere in the continent, but you can still, like, access the continent itself.
When you're in the tutorials, they do stick walls in a few places to prevent you from wandering off, though, but, like, once you're out of the tutorial, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, which only takes, 3-4 hours?
Not even that, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Not that much time.
No, it's not like Kingdom Hearts 2 tutorials. Don't be intimidated.
No, the tutorials are actually pretty well implemented, I'd say. Jean wants to know, does the gamepad have the same sound as the TV screen? Or is it different sound effects? In other words, is it possible to play with earplugs and just a screen?
You can. I've done it.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure about that. I honestly keep whenever I use the gamepad, I just have it on mute for the TV, and I haven't done off-screen play yet.
Yeah, it only does, like, when you're in the gamepad menu, it does make unique sounds, but when you switch the TV view down to the gamepad, you'll hear whatever, like, the actual main feed is.
Okay, cool. All right, next up is Skylim Gisto, who has two questions. He's played a lot of Xenoblade and liked these combat features, but haven't really seen enough of Xenoblade X's combat to tell if there's still anything like them in the system. For one, is there still a break, topple, daze, stun chain status system at all? And is there ever a way to choose the specific arts allies use, akin to chain combos in the original Xenoblade, that lets you stop time and pick a single ability for everyone or anything like that? I can confirm the whole... Well, I'll just let you take it.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't trying to talk over you. I thought you were just
gonna... Oh, no. I was going to try to explain. I was like, you know what? It's better just have Emil explain the whole thing.
Okay, so there's no chain attacks. There's no, like, stopping time, but there is a replacement for them. I won't go into detail on that, though, but there is something that replaces them. So there is still, like, mega powerful, high damage things that you can do. There's a lot more battle commands this time around. There's more than just come to me, focus your attacks on this monster. There's a lot of things you can do like that, so you have more control over what your allies do in the way of AI. You can also set, like, okay, in this situation, I want you to try to topple the enemy. In this situation, I want you to use an aura. In this situation, you can customize a lot about the allies' AI. The break topple days thing has been modified a bit in that there are arts now that just force topple. In fact, I think you actually start with one for what it's worth.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work. It is much more effective if you have them stunned first.
It's more effective if you have them stunned, but you don't have to do it.
Yeah, and Emil just went into all those like battle tactics that you can use. I haven't used those at all, and I still feel like the AI is smart enough to set things up that I can just capitalize on whatever they're doing. So you don't even have to use all those battle commands if you don't want to and just want to keep things simple. Nobi Raghaven wants to know, how's the character diversity? Well, we've already discussed that and said it is huge. And also, what's the main hub, New LA, like? I'm not quite sure exactly what you're looking for here, but there's 5 different districts that you could go into. I wanted to say 6 because of the barracks. The barracks are kind of count, but they're just sort of the thing that you can customize and get your story quest from, and a bunch of affinity missions. But the rest of New LA is pretty wide open to explore, and each one has its own real flavor to it. I mean, industrial district, residential district, commercial district, and then an empty district that gets filled in over time. And each one's unique.
Basically a Colony 6.
Yeah. Whatever that means. I think I know what you mean, but yeah, it's as far as a hub world, I think it works. What about you, Emil?
Yeah, I think it does too. It feels very alive. There's a lot to do in it. One detail that I really like is generic NPCs. In the first game, there were nameless NPCs that might have hints for you and things like that, but they weren't integral to like any subplots or anything. Mm-hmm. In this game, you just simply overhear what they're talking about whenever you walk near them.
Yeah, and they actually even specially mark them with a yellow dialogue box. Walk past them, you get a hint, and all of a sudden, like a segment of the map gets filled in saying, this is what you need to look for in this one to complete this survey.
Yeah, the ones that have important text for you are marked. So
yeah, it makes it pretty simple, but you can still get all kinds of flavor text and whatnot. Alright guys, I think that covers it for part 2 of our Q&A on Xenoblade Chronicles X. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You should also check out more from Chuggaaconroy, as he makes great Let's Plays. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Xenoblade, including the final part of our Q&A, and other things gaming as well. Until next time guys, bye.